Mel Kiper, draft expert, joining us on the program. Mel, I was just talking about the Packers bringing in Sammy Watkins. Does that change anything they do in the first round?
Well, I think they needed three receivers, Dan, going into the draft. I had them taking a couple, one in the first, one in the second. I still think they attack it that way. Sammy's a veteran, obviously. They need some young receivers coming into this program, and this is a great draft for wide receivers, Dan. Basically, into the fifth, sixth round area, you're going to find guys that can help you. So I gave them, I thought, two really good ones in Christian Watson and Alec Pierce, guys with length that can come in, smart kids that can come in and help them right away for Aaron Rodgers. So I still think because of the best position in this draft and the deepest being wide receiver, you got to take advantage of it if you're the Packers. So I think they will, despite that move. I think they're going to, like I say, two, maybe three receivers selected over the 7 rounds.
Is that the position where you feel like throughout, as you said, first 5 rounds, that if you didn't get one in the first or second, that you could get value in the third or fourth or fifth round?
I believe you can. Slot and wide, Dan. Calvin Austin III is not only fast, but he catches the football consistently. He's got punt return ability. He's a little bit like Hollywood Brown, who was a first-round pick. Calvin Austin III will probably be a third-round pick. Wandale Robinson from Kentucky, formerly of Nebraska, is an electrifying kid, slot guy. He will probably be a third or fourth rounder. Khalil Shakir from Boise State's another one. An underrated guy, I think, is Isaiah Weston from Northern Iowa. I mentioned Alec Pierce in the second round, a kid with length, with great athletic ability, ran 4.4, averaged over 17 yards a catch, mechanical engineering major, athletic family. I mean, these are some really good players, Dan, that you normally would never see in the second or third round of a draft, but this year you will.
Who are you still trying to figure out? Is there a player?
Yes, there's a few. In fact, that's a great question, Dan, because I don't get that question that often, but there are always guys that you just don't know. You really can't figure out. And then, those are guys you just don't draft if you're a team, because if you can't figure them out, if you come to the conclusion, we don't know what type of player this kid will be, we don't know how he fits, I'll go right to Trayvon Walker at Georgia. Trayvon could be the first, second, third pick in this draft. People are still talking about him as maybe going number 1. So, again, here's a kid who had 9.5 career sacks, 13 career tackles for loss, had a ton of hurries. He was disruptive, but the finishing numbers aren't there. The versatility's there. They moved him around. I didn't see the quickness outside. I saw the quickness more inside. So you look at the numbers compared to Myles Garrett, Clowney, the Bosa brothers. It's not even close in the production during their career over the same time period. So you're betting on the talent, which is awesome. He's 6'5", 270, incredible athletic ability, incredible speed, great kid. You're betting on a coach in the NFL. That's why they have coach before their name, getting the most out of Trayvon Walker, figuring out what position he's going to maximize that ability at, and then taking a kid who, like I said, 9.5 career sacks, 13 career tackles for loss, and turning him in against the best lineman in the world into a guy who can be a double-digit sack guy in one season. That's going to be a challenge for the team that drafts him. And I think another kid that is definitely tough to evaluate based on where he is in terms of the smaller guys. 1AA is Trevor Penning. I like Trevor Penning, but he's got to improve. He's got to get more bend. He can't be as aggressive as he was going after people after the whistle. He's got to settle down a bit, improve his technique if he's going to be a left tackle coming out of Northern Iowa. And a lot of people think, and I do, think he can go 16 to New Orleans or 17 to the Chargers. So ton of talent. I love the nastiness. I love the fire he plays with, but I think he's got to settle down a bit and certainly, like I say, improve that technique to be a great pass blocker from the left tackle position in the NFL.
I talked to a scout, and I asked him about Malik Willis, and he said he's a tough read for me because he did well against competition where he was the best athlete on the field, but when he wasn't the best athlete on the field, he struggled a little bit. So how do you rationalize what Malik Willis did at Liberty?
I think this, Dan. I think the first part of the season, last year, he looked like a top 5 pick, maybe a number 1 pick overall. The second half, he was making some bad decisions, some bad throws. He had interceptions against Middle Tennessee State, 3 against Louisiana Monroe, and he struggled. Obviously, you knew the team would struggle against Ole Miss. In that game, though, Dan, he drew the respect of the Rebel defensive players. Chance Campbell, heck of a linebacker coming out of Ole Miss, played at my high school, Calvert Hall, was a great player. Chance is one of the has football IQ through the roof. He's like a defensive coordinator on the field. He went right up to Malik Willis after that game and said, "Boy, you are deceptively fast. You're deceptively strong. You're a great player. I really respect the talent you have." And he was just amazed. He said, "I couldn't run." And Chance can run. Chance is the 4.5s. And he said, "This kid is fast. He's powerful. He's got that compact frame." tough to bring to the ground. In the Senior Bowl, Danny, they had the ball at like the 40-yard line, and that was at the end of the first quarter when it was like the end of the half. So he starts running. They say, okay, why are you running? Okay, you got to get a touchdown here. You throw it up for grabs, right? You try to get it. He almost ran it in. Chad Muma from Wyoming tackled him at the 5-yard line, or he would have taken it from the 40 in on that last play of that quarter. So he's a talent. He's got a great, tremendous character. Yes, is he NFL ready? Now he needs a little work, possibly. We always say that about everybody, and sometimes the guys you think aren't NFL ready turn out to be. Some guys you think the guys that are NFL ready do nothing. Josh Rosen being one of them. So to me, Dan, somebody's going to take him high. I have him going to Carolina at 6. We'll see. He's going to be a fun one to watch because Pittsburgh sits at 20, and there are still people out there that think he could slide down to 20 to Mike Tomlin and the Steelers.
And Pittsburgh, you have taken Kenny Pickett. If Pickett's still left there on the board. We're talking to Mel Kiper, draft expert. I'm also wondering when you first started this at the mothership, you were saying where you thought players were going to go, or you were grading them. It wasn't you changed in where you thought what the teams were going to do. Do I have that right? The time frame?
Yeah, I think, Dan, what you always try to do, and I did this when I put out the draft reports back in 78, 79, 80, and all those years, I always had a mock first round, right, which was trying to predict what teams would do. And I always had a first round based on what I would do if I were the GM as we move through the draft. And Todd and I are going to do that. We're going to do a 3-round rotating through. Todd makes a pick. I make the pick for that team based on who's available and what we would do, not trying to match what's going to happen come April 28th. So, but it was confusing to people. I said, okay, I don't get it. Well, I said, well, this is what I would do, and this is what the teams will do, but it was confusing to an extent. So the mock drafts are strictly trying to match what teams will do come April 28th. The ratings board, that I have my big board up on ESPN.com every week, updated every couple of weeks, that's strictly my feeling, Dan. It has nothing to do with where – I don't grade players based on where they're going to be drafted. I grade them based on ability, so stack them up, whatever happens, happens. That has nothing to do with trying to figure out a mock draft and where kids may go.
How did you have Baker Mayfield ranked coming out of Oklahoma?
He was right. I had Josh Allen had one of the highest grades I ever gave a quarterback. I had him number 1. I had Sam 2, and I had Mayfield right after that. So it was Josh Allen's draft for me. I thought Josh Allen. I predicted even the morning of the draft. I thought he would go number 1. I thought the Cleveland Browns would take Josh Allen. I heard that it wasn't necessarily going to be Sam Darnold. I did not think that was one of the curveballs. It's fun to get, Dan. I remember the morning of the draft. Everybody said it's going to be Baker Mayfield. I did not see that coming, and like I said, I had a mock draft came out that morning. Josh Allen going number 1. He was my highest rated. He was one of my top 10 highest rated quarterbacks of all time. So I did. He ended up being the 3rd quarterback taken that year. So it just was a surprise. It was Baker had moved from a 3rd round pick in August way up. Didn't think it would be number 1 overall, but it was. And I'll tell you what, Dan, I think he's getting unfair criticism. I think it's totally unfair. I understand the commercials and getting all the – hey, who wouldn't take advantage of it? If somebody comes to you and says, hey, there's some commercial opportunities, you take them, right? But to criticize Baker Mayfield after this year based on the pain and what he went through with that offensive line injured, running backs injured, receiver issues, Beckham traded, to criticize Mayfield based on this year when he almost had that team in a Super Bowl 2 years ago and played great football, I don't understand it. I can't rationalize it. I can't figure it out, Dan. It makes absolutely no sense to me.
But he's taking it personally, and he says he's disrespected. This is a business, Mel, and I think Baker would be better served at just not saying anything. You know, that he's the star. I'm a star at Oklahoma. I'm the number 1 overall pick, and you can't believe that it's like marriage. Until death do us part. Well, people get divorced all the time. And that's what happened in the NFL. A younger or better player came along, and they decided they fell in love with Deshaun Watson. It's not fair, but that's what happens. And it just feels like playing the victim doesn't help him. If I'm a team looking at him, unless I go, man, he's got a chip on his shoulder, he's going to be balling out this year, I still worry about that. I'm a star, and I was disrespected by the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I guess it could have been handled a little bit differently, but kids react in a way, and it becomes personal. You're a quarterback, Dan. You're the face of the organization. Everybody's talking about you, and I handled, I guess, so much, and I think he felt like, hey, I deserved a little more than I got. I played through significant pain. Let's face it, Dan. It's not the right shoulder, but the left affects the right. And if everything would have been perfect around him and he's playing through pain, maybe he has a better chance to have some more success. But when you have everything around you go awry and you're playing through significant pain and you're gutting it out and everybody's saying, you're garbage, you're trash, you're not very good, you're terrible. I don't understand why you don't look at it and say, okay, realistically, he can't be great this year. There's no way he could be as good as he was 2 years ago. Why are we expecting him to be what he was when he couldn't be that, and then rip him for everything he's saying here and there? I can't believe Baker Mayfield's still out there and doesn't have a team. I just can't not believe it. Somebody's going to get this kid, and I think he may have the last laugh in this. He's going to come in. He's always had a chip, and his chip is bigger right now than it's ever been, Dan. So, but I said I did not have him as the 1 or 2 quarterback, but I'm defending Baker because 2 years ago he looked like the real deal, and he was when he was healthy, and that team was operating on all cylinders. And this year, it's just I don't get it, and I don't get it with a lot of players at quarterback who they expect way too much from, despite what's going on around them, which a lot of times isn't very good.
I came in the Monday of draft week, and I didn't even tell my guys. I said, I got breaking news, and it's going to blow you away. And so I had a great source on this, and he says to me on Sunday night, he said, the Browns are going to take Baker Mayfield. And I went, oh, my God. And so I come in, and I say to my guys at like 9:02, I didn't even tell them prior to the show. I said, I want your reaction. I said, I know who the Cleveland Browns are going to take. And then they guessed who the Browns were going to take. And I said, Baker Mayfield. And then everybody was like, what? And I was with you because I know Seattle was really interested in trading up to get maybe the rights to Josh Allen to be able to draft him with Cleveland. And I thought, okay, I like Baker. He's entertaining. I just don't think he's the number 1 overall pick. But I do agree with you. He's not garbage. But let me ask you this. Would you rather have equal pay, both healthy, Jimmy Garoppolo or Baker Mayfield?
I would rather have Baker Mayfield. I think Baker, his age, where he is, what he showed. I love the competitiveness of Baker, the players. You can't not like the way he plays the game. Like I said, this past year, I'm going to give him a mulligan for. I'm definitely going to do that. So I think when you look at it, Dan, what's fun, and to go back to like you were talking about the mock drafts and what you heard, that's what I don't particularly like about what I do, what we all do now. It's become a mock draft nation, right? And it's and what happens here, this is what happens to me, and I know Todd has talked about it a little bit too. We sit there, and Daniel Jeremiah, everybody, we sit there, and Mike Mayock used to even say it. Mike would say it to me. We sit there on draft day, and we're worried about do we mock it right? Do we have it right? What's happening? And you're so preoccupied with your daggone mock. And I even will come, Dan, during the draft, I'll even know a player was taken, it would be in the 5th round on day 3, and I'll be talking about a kid that I thought went to a team because I mocked him there, and he didn't go to that team. and even a day later, after the draft's over, I'll still be thinking about this player being with his team because I kept hearing, Dan, mock drafts really screw your mind up. They really do.
I know.
And I'm kind of done with them, but I do them. But they just occupy way too much of my thought process during the course of the season, and way too much even right now.
All right, we have a bet in studio that a quarterback will be selected in the top 13 picks.
Okay.
What do you think?
I would agree.
How many quarterbacks in the top?
1.
Okay.
I would say 1. Kenny will be, I think, it's going to be interesting, Dan, if Carolina trades down from 6. Or they stay at 6? Do they get, and they feel like we have 2 quarterbacks we really like. There's all the talk about Matt Rule recruited Kenny Pickett. He loves Kenny Pickett. Maybe organizationally, we'll see about Malik Wood. They move down, figuring we're going to get one of these 2. I've always believed you got to identify 1. This is our guy. If you like 2, fine. I said when Eli Manning and Roethlisberger and Rivers came out, I thought they'd all be really good. You could be happy with which one it fell to you. Well, which one fell? Ben Roethlisberger fell, right? Justin Herbert fell to the Chargers. Josh Allen fell down. Buffalo went and got him. So the point being, I think in this particular draft, the quarterback that falls sometimes turns out to be better than the one that goes higher. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes down. I went and put Willis. Some people are sticking a Todd had Pickett going 6. I have Willis, but I do think one of the quarterbacks goes in the top 13.
Always great to talk to you.
Your best, Dan. It was always fun. And the questions you ask, one question you asked, I never have gotten. Who's the toughest? Who are the tough guys to evaluate? So, Dan, it's a first for me. You did it. You're at the top of the board, pal.
Thank you, Mel. That's Mel Kiper, draft expert.